Hi, welcome. Truth with Dr. Dara, and we are going to talk tonight about, is this hair out of place? Perfectionism. Yes, perfectionism. Oh my gosh, if you guys could just see me sometimes trying to get myself set up for doing this, let's talk about somebody who wants to get things perfect and right. I've moved into 2 rooms because I keep finding a shadow behind me, and it's making me crazy. Most people wouldn't even notice it, but I do, and it makes me go nuts. So let's talk about being perfect, or not being perfect, but the idea around perfectionism. I see some of you already on. Amy, Esma, awesome. And then down here we've got Instagram, and I see Jacqueline, you're already on, and some others. I think it's Jean. Instagram's really tricky because I don't know the names. There's all these cool names, and I don't know who people are. So here we are, perfectionism. I've had some great feedback this week. I loved the questions and the comments that went around this. I think, Jacqueline, your answer was brilliant this evening. You said about how perfectionism, that God thinks you're perfect, and that's so cool. And there were some other comments about perfectionism being well, what is it? Because if it wasn't a thing, then there wouldn't even be a word. So obviously there is an idea around being perfect, but how does it play into our life? And I've been thinking about it a lot too, and I think the concept of perfectionism has to do with it being fluid and how it constantly changes, because where you might think something is perfect, it might transition in another capacity in other times in your life, or it might show up in different areas. Like I might be completely neurotic and wanting my setup for my Truth with Dr. Dara to be perfect, and in other areas I might be a little less concerned about things. Christine says, video keeps starting and stopping. I'm noticing that too. Thank you, Christine. I'm glad you're saying something. 1 second it says connection available, and now it says low network connection. So hopefully that won't stop. Maybe it's like a perfectionistic trick to see if I lose my cool. I do think there should be some kind of blooper at some point around what I do, because if you guys knew sometimes what goes on behind the scenes, I think you would be quite entertained to hear it. I mean, I'm talking, there's times I'm in front of the camera and I hear children crying. Maybe some of you saw that before. Okay, stand by. I'm gonna try to see if I can figure this low connection situation out. You're just gonna look up my nostrils for just a second. Let me know when you're done looking up my nostrils. Okay, I think I got it. Did it work? I don't know. We'll give it a shot. So, it shows up for me crazy ways. I'm talking like doing Truth with Dr. Dara, like the dogs scratch and have to go out. There's one time the dog, when the big one, went out into the yard, and I went back to get him 10 minutes later, and he wasn't even there. He got out. He was in my neighbor's yard. I mean, who can make that up in the middle of doing it? Screaming children. There was one time when I was doing it that literally all of a sudden I heard my big dog come in, and he had a stomach ache, and the next thing you know, I hear this big explosion of like, and then 3 seconds later, you know what happens? I look over and I smell something, and there was a big pile of dog poop right next to me. Who can make that up? But you keep going. So I think the idea around perfectionism is no matter what is going on, you just keep on swimming. No matter what. I was with the skater today, and she was younger, and she was just the cutest thing that I've gotten to work with in a long time. That's not true, because I had some really cuties that I got to hang out with today. But she was talking about like the idea of being scared of doing a particular jump, and the whole idea around it was that you've got to keep swimming. You just keep going. And I think what blocks us around perfectionism is thinking that it needs to be perfect and that it has to be a certain way. So I'm gonna make up a new definition of perfectionism, and I'm gonna go with that it's fluid and it's constantly changing, and the idea around being perfect is going with the flow, and what's perfect for one person is not perfect for another. And where does even this idea of perfectionism even like link in? I mean, I feel like it brings up so many ideas of shame for people, because you're thinking about not being perfect, and then you're thinking that you should be doing it different or better, and it gets really locked up. So as some of you are jumping in, we're talking about perfectionism, being perfect, and where that gets stuck for you, how it gets wrapped up, being perfect in your business, being perfect in your sport, being perfect in your life. And I have like news for you. There is no perfect. I mean, there might be a set perfect that you think of how it might go, but again, perfect is fluid and it's constantly changing. I feel like it's in the eye of the beholder. What's perfect to me could be perfect to somebody else. Kristen, I see a hello from you. I'm glad that you're on after your perfectly great second week of teaching. So, Esma, you're out in Germany. I mean, you guys are coming in from all over the place. Write in, tell me what you're thinking. What are your thoughts around perfectionism and how does it show up in your life and how does it get stuck for you? Because at the end of the day, the way that perfectionism gets stuck, we can unstick it. We completely can. And like I mentioned, in session, I'm with people all the time and it shows up. It shows up non-stop because the way that they're doing it, and it can't be done any different. In fact, here, I want you guys to have fun with me for a minute. I want you to repeat this after me. I want you to say, okay, stand by, stand by. It says it's still freezing, so I'm going to, don't go anywhere. Wait, Madi, you have to tell me, does this mean hello, perfect. Does this mean I have to hang up and then like restart the whole thing? Yes? Will you guys find me if I do this? So listen, if you lose me, go right back in. I'm gonna jump out and come back on. I think I need to finish. Whew, might be sweating on this one. Cancel. Hi, welcome. Truth with Dr. Dara. And we are oh, you guys down here are getting to watch me sweat. I'm totally sweating this out completely. Woo. How am I? I'm sweating because it's not working on Facebook. So I have to go and do it all over again. So don't laugh at me. Let's see if I can do this. I have to do it upside down too. We're talking about perfectionism. Erin, there you are. I miss you so much. It seems like I saw you so long ago. Okay. Let's see how I do. You guys here on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I had to restart it. So I'm in a mini crisis mode. Let's see. Are you guys here? Ah! I am starting it all over again. Let's see. Trying to host a party. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to host a party too. Okay, I see things. It says I have to rotate. Look, I'm sweating this out. Okay. It won't rotate. Can somebody sing me a song? I see Go Sixers. I lost the connection. Here I am again. All right. Stand by, operators, stand by, technical difficulties. I might have like a major flare-up. The phone is telling me to rotate and it's not rotating. I can't tell you why I can't tell you why the Eagles. Okay. I'm sideways, it's not working. Madi, if you're there, it's not working right, and I can't rotate myself sideways. Look, am I crooked? Let's see. Rotation. Are we back on? Can you guys tell me, is it the right way? It says I can't turn my phone while recording. You guys can laugh at me if you want to. Well, I'm the right way for you, Joey, but I'm not the right way on Facebook. Okay. I think I got it. Okay, I think we're in. Whew. Sweating this one out. All right, guys, here we are. We're talking about perfectionism, and I think I just completely covered the whole reality of not being perfect. I think I just covered it. So if anybody thinks that they're not perfect, guess what? I think I just maxed out on it. Madi, I see that you're on. I see it's recording, but I also see that it keeps going to connection available and then to low connection. Debbie, you're on. I'm sure some others will keep jumping back on. So, what do we do when we're not perfect, and where did this come from? Did we like freak out so long ago? Is it ingrained in our head? Did it start when we were a kid? Like, I know that I have my daughter and she's 5 and I watch her coloring something, and when she doesn't get it right, she does it over again. And I'm thinking to myself, oh gosh, is perfectionism setting in for her? And I think that's just part of what happens for us no matter what, because we're always gonna wanna do our best, and there's expectations to how we want to get things done. So I don't think we should take away perfect, right? Like, I think imperfection is perfect, but I don't think we should do away with it, because sometimes people will say that. They'll say, hey, we should just not have a perfect, but there has to be some basis, there has to be some place to strive for. But I'm gonna vote with that we just don't keep it right there, that we just don't keep it, and that we continue to redefine what that perfect is, because these ideas are set in our head. And well, we're not gonna know tonight what I repeated and what I didn't, because I don't know what was on the first time or the second time, and who was there and who isn't. So we won't know that part of it, but tonight is all about perfection. So I'm thinking my goal is to see how imperfect I can possibly be, because a lot of times people spend so much time trying not to mess up that all they do is mess up more. I mean, if somebody was scared to go out in the rain, would you say to them, don't go out in the rain? You would say, just keep going out on the rain, just keep going, keep going, keep going. Perfect at being imperfect. Yes, exactly, Jean. And the more that I do it, the more comfortable that I'm gonna be at it. I mean, I can tell you, these Facebook Lives, every time, they make my armpits sweat. They totally do. I get so sweaty and I get so nervous just because of setting up the technology and getting it right. But every time it comes out and every time it works, and it's just gonna be whatever it is. And it just flows through, and every time you get better at doing something if you do it, and no matter what, you just keep swimming. You just keep showing up, and you just do it anyway. I think I started to tell you about this skater that I was working with today, and for her, she just was scared to do a jump, and the only way that she's gonna get unscared is to go for it. So we kept thinking about just keep swimming, and so we changed it to just keep skating, and there's, of course, people are gonna mess up. I mean, even ice skating, there's such a strong chance and there is a degree of difficulty, but you really don't see people fall very much considering what they're doing. It still doesn't work for me. Which part doesn't work for you, Esma? Just the part of like just keep swimming doesn't work, or is it my video that isn't working? Carlos, I see that you just jumped on. It's nice to have you on. If you guys have any questions, we're talking about perfectionism. Tell me where it shows up for you. Tell me how it shows up for you and where it gets stuck, and let's unstick it, because some of you were on earlier. You might have gotten quite entertained with me telling you about all the bloopers that happens for me when I'm doing these Facebook Lives, whether it's dogs going to the bathroom on the floor, or getting lost and escaping out of my back fence, or children screaming. Every time I do it, there's always something that comes up, and you just gotta go. You just gotta go, because if I stop and I listen to that part in my head, like that critic, then I wouldn't show up again. But I do it, and your feedback is what keeps me going. Oh, Allie says that it's not working for her properly. Well, if any of you it's not working so great, get in on your, if you have Instagram, I think Instagram is working really awesome. So if it's stuck for anybody on Facebook, go on Instagram. It's on the same thing, at Dr. Dara Bushman. I see a thumbs up, so maybe that's working. And if we don't get it, then we'll just redo it again. We'll keep swimming because we can't stop. And the messages that are getting ingrained in our head. You know, I wrote this on my Instagram story today, but as most of you know, I'm writing a book, and as I'm writing, oh good, I see you guys are jumping on, and I'm writing the book, and it gets kind of tricky. Oh, Mary, thank you, Mariela. It's not me, it's Facebook. So a lot of you know that I'm writing a book, and it's a process, and figuring out how to get it done and figuring out time. And I was on a really smooth roll, and I still am, but I had started to get up really early in the morning. I was getting up at about 4 or 4:20 every morning to get in, it's called Pages, 3 days of writing, or 3 pages of writing. And it would be kind of just like streaming the writing. It wouldn't necessarily mean that I'm writing content for my book. It would just be me just writing, just to get thoughts out in my head, kind of clear the cobwebs. And I got really stuck. I did, because I was getting exhausted. I was getting a little burnt out from doing it, and earlier in the year I got like a cold, and it took like a good several weeks to get it out of my system, but I still was having a hard time getting up to do my writing. I would get up and I would go work out, but the thought of getting up at 4 or 4:20 was just like not working for me, and I was feeling less than, and I was feeling stuck because I had this idea that I should be doing something different than the way that I was doing it, and it wasn't showing up for me the way that I wanted it to. And I couldn't figure it out, and I have this amazing book editor, and she's really encouraging, like she's on my team, and that's what's so important about having a group of people or your team members that really keep you accountable or just really show up for you, and you gotta have those people. So I was talking with her the other day, and it didn't even dawn on me, but she says to me, well, why don't you just write 1 page in the morning? So for me, that's about 10 or 15 minutes. She said, why don't you just go in there? You seem to really enjoy it when you do it, and do 1 page. And it was like this big, like, cloud of light came over me. Like, wow, like that's possible? Because in my head, it felt that if I wasn't writing 3 pages and getting up every single morning, then it wasn't worth it, or I wasn't doing it good enough. And it just seemed like something that I could possibly do. So today was day 1, and I did get up, and ironically, of course, last night my daughter was sick and there wasn't much sleep going on, and so I knew I couldn't get up in the morning to go, my imperfect hair, I feel like is flying. I couldn't get up this morning to go work out because I wasn't gonna leave her, but I still got up and I did my writing. I did, and it felt so good. And I think of it like a bridge. So in this world of being imperfectly perfect, we think we have to do it all or nothing. It's this ingrained part in our head that it has to be exactly the way that it is. And so my proposal is that we don't have to do it so perfect. We can just do it in little snippets, and like 1%, just a little bit, creating that bridge. And Leslie created that bridge for me. She made that suggestion of just writing 1 page, which is the extra 10 or 15 minutes of getting up, and it all of a sudden feels so doable. So I didn't say I was going to do it every day for the rest of my life, but what I did commit to is to do it for the next week, just an extra 10 or 15 minutes for the next week. And that feels okay for me. So if we're sharpening up those areas of doing it, let's look at it that way. I see some of you jumping on Facebook, and I believe that Facebook is having some glitches, and maybe it's me. I'm sure it's the user error, but if not, it's going really smooth on Instagram, and you can jump in down here. I see a lot more people on here, and share with me, tell me your thoughts on perfectionism and where it shows up for you and how it gets stuck, and what we can do to make this be smoother. But my proposal is that we look at it as a liquid term, that it constantly changes, and our ideas around being perfect get to be reevaluated because our needs change and how our perspectives are about it are constantly changing. So, okay, let's pause for a minute. Esma just said I made it PP party. Yes, exactly. And part of having perfectionism or being perfect is acknowledging when things are going good and having a PP party and getting excited about it. Because if you don't get excited for your own stuff and you don't show up, then it's not gonna work. It's not gonna be optimal for you, and if you don't get excited, nobody else is going to. So Esma, I love that you just brought up the PP party and having a PP party when things are going well, because energy flows where energy goes. And if you're completely focusing on what's not working, you're gonna get more of what's not working. So if you're spending your day talking about how you should have done this and you should have done that, guess what you're gonna get? A lot of shoulding all over yourself, and nothing is gonna get accomplished, and it's so frustrating. So I'm pretty sure I started to say this before I got completely disoriented and disbobbled about perfectionism, or repeating this after me would be to say that I should have done it gooder. So I want all of you to say that right now. I should have done it gooder. And now I want you to say I could have done it gooder. And you would have to believe that you should have done it gooder in order to think that you could have done it gooder, because at the end of the day, we couldn't have done anything different than the way that we've done it. And that's where we get stuck of thinking that it shouldn't be a certain way. I see Jean asking what a PP party is. Jean, I just kind of mentioned that a PP party is getting excited about what you want more of. If you're focusing on what's not working, you're gonna get more of what you don't want. And if you're thinking about all the ways that you wanna be better and do it different, it's not gonna happen, because remember guys, your brain does not hear negation. It doesn't hear the word no. So if I say to myself, okay, Dara, you have to do that better. You have to do that better. Or if you talk about, stop thinking about how you messed up that thing. Okay, so you guys ready? Stop thinking about how you messed up that thing. Well, by thinking about how you shouldn't have messed up that thing, your mind doesn't hear the word should. Your mind only hears the command. So, I have to tell you, got a little hot today. Got all that disruption with messing around in between on trying to get Facebook going. Debbie, I see you finally found us. Woot, woot. So if you're focusing on what isn't, like I just did it. I just talked about how the camera messed up and I couldn't get it on Facebook. Then I'm just pulling that energy into that place, and we want it in the direction that we want it. So it's not about how you can be more perfect, it's just how you can adjust it. So going back to like that 1%, like creating that bridge, how can you adjust it to just do a little more? If you're thinking in a way that's been getting stuck about being black and white and all or nothing, well, no wonder why you're feeling a stuckness, because it feels huge and it feels impossible to do. And you're gonna get like stuck. You're gonna keep banging your head up around the same stuff. So tell me how it shows up for you. Make sure you guys are in the group Truth with Dr. Dara on Facebook. There has been some great comments and some great going back and forth, which has been awesome. And next week, we are gonna talk about diets, all right? So get the questions in, tell me what's going on, and I'll talk with you guys soon. Bye-bye. I have a crying baby, not perfect, gotta go.